Hello and welcome to the Tesla Model 3 delivery date video. If you're watching this on replay, then it's going to be designed so it's as relevant as possible to watch after the fact, even though it is a live chat and I'll be talking to several people or more hopefully about the Tesla Model 3 delivery dates. I have a few ideas and a bit of information about when the Tesla Model 3 will come out, so hopefully someone will join us soon and we can start chatting. For now, enjoy. Now, as you can probably tell, I have made a few changes rather, from the last time I did a live stream, which is a bit of a test. So this is kind of a test as well. I've changed the background, so everything's moved around in the room. The window is now in front of me, providing light rather than behind me, blocking out the camera. I haven't updated the webcam yet. That is on its way. So for now, this is as good as the video gets. Hopefully this will be the last live stream that uses the built-in webcam. The audio is the same, it's the Zoom H1, so that should be okay. I have also been playing around with the something called OBS, which basically means I can edit sort of live as we speak. So when someone joins us on chat, I can put the chat window up there, I can put logos up, I can do all sorts. It's good fun. So yes, it looks like we're starting to get a few people watching now. This is the first scheduled chat as well. And as I said before, this is about the Tesla Model 3 delivery dates, because I've recently been in a Tesla dealership, and I'll come back to this in a couple of minutes. But along with looking online and with Elon Musk's tweets, I think I have a fair idea of when the Tesla Model 3 will actually turn up in the UK. Of course, you have to take a massive pinch of salt with everything that you get from Tesla with delivery dates, but fingers crossed, I think we have a fair idea on when they might turn up. So let's bring the chat window up. Look at that, look at that. We can see the chat window now. Thank you to various people online for helping me figure out this whole YouTube chat thing. So yes, let's get going. Basically, a couple of weeks ago on the Twizy 200-mile journey trip video, which has been up a couple of weeks now, so give that a watch. We ended up stopping to charge for about an hour and a half excuse me, near a Tesla dealership. So of course we thought we'd kill some time by going into the Tesla dealership, and inevitably when we got there we spoke to a salesman, and I mentioned that I have a first day reservation for the Tesla Model 3, and I wanted to know when's it turning up, when is it happening, because can you believe it that it's been 2 years, 2 full years practically to the day since I went into the Tesla dealership and put the deposit down. So I give Tesla 2 years ago £1,000 of my money to put a reservation on a car, and due to the time difference, I hadn't even seen it then. The web launch hadn't happened. I didn't know what it looked like. Didn't know how much it cost. I didn't literally nothing about it. So total blind faith, basically. Yeah, that's been 2 years ago. In fact, here I am walking to the Tesla dealership on the video that I posted a couple of years ago. I honestly can't believe that 2 years has passed so quickly. It's insane how quick time is passing by. It's it's a scary thought, if I'm honest. Anyway, so I started talking to the salesman and kind of jokingly said, "When am I getting my Model 3, damn it?" And he said, "Oh, about a year from now." Now, I don't know about you, but that's probably unlikely. Let's face it. Like every Tesla estimation, even I think this is way off. But after I pushed him a bit, he was quite adamant. He said, "No, about a year from now, we should start to see the first M3s in the UK." Anyway, we went away from that kind of thinking a bit, let's not believe them. Yes, it was Tesla Knutsford, but it did make me think, once we'd finished the Twizy journey, I might actually look into this now, because it has been 2 years. How long is it going to be? When do I get my car, basically? When should I get the car? As luck would have it, Mr. Musk tweeted someone, or replied to someone on a tweet, who asked, when will it turn up in the UK? And this is his response to that, which is basically, he expects the right-on-drive cars to be manufactured roughly the middle of next year. So the middle of 2019, he expects the Model 3 to be manufactured at the factory. So, assuming that is correct, then, and I've no reason to believe, he's off with that, because it is later than even they planned, then I'm going to predict live on YouTube, for the record, I'll probably come back to this in a year and hopefully not regret it, that by the end of 2019, November, December-ish, I think we'll start to see the first M3s turn up in the UK. I genuinely believe that by the end of 2019, that's when they will start to trickle in. It doesn't mean that's when I'll get mine or when you'll get yours, but ultimately I think that's when we'll see some in this country. Fingers crossed that will be the case. Of course, on the Tesla configurator page, which isn't live for us yet, it still says early 2019, which kind of goes everything that Elon Musk has just stated, where it's going to be in the middle of 2019 before they even start manufacturing them. So yeah, that's what I'm going to put out there. What do you think? Do you think end of 2019, given the evidence I've presented, is reasonable? The one thing I do want to know is how much it's going to cost. We've got a good idea in like list price terms. Apparently, it's going to be less than £30,000, at least the starting price anyway. Excuse me. And it'll go up from there. But I want to know how much it's going to cost in monthly terms, PCP terms. I can't afford to buy this car outright, nowhere near. So that's what I've been waiting for. And apparently we won't get to know about the finances of the Model 3 until the configurator is released for UK customers, which ultimately means that it's going to be a while. It's going to be quite a while. The salesman in the Tesla dealership reckoned, I think he said autumn-ish, the configurator will be released. But he also said the car will turn up in about a year as well. So I'm going to predict that the first quarter of 2019, maybe 10 to 12 months from now, is when the configurator will be released for the first day reservation holders. I think that's reasonable, because they'll need to know how many they're going to build at the factory. So hopefully the first quarter of next year, maybe just less than a year from now, we should know how much the Tesla Model 3 is going to cost in the UK, what the PCP prices are, which is key for me, because I still don't know if I can really afford this car, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? I'll go into the text now. And I'll also mention that I'm also on Twitter, so if you do want to get hold of me in between videos, then I'm on Twitter. Look at that, I'm getting good at this. Twitter.com/EVManUK is my Twitter handle, so follow me on there and we can have a little chat. But for now, let's have a look at the chats, what's going on. Yes, I know this is blurry. I said at the start of the video, the webcam hasn't arrived yet, basically, so I'm still on the original webcam, but hopefully the plain background should make it a little bit easier on the eyes. There's no sun in the background, there's no junk to distract. So the camera, all that will be sorted out by the time I do a next live stream. Hello from Malta. Wow, I've never been to Malta. It's meant to be a very nice place. It'll sting if you knew how much you'd have made if you'd have invested in Tesla. Yes. yes, I can believe that. I've never invested anything in my life, so I invest my money in fun. That's what I do. Hello from Texas. Yes, Texas. Hello indeed. I've never been there either. In fact, I've never been to half the world, quite frankly. Are you going to let your cat spray the interior of your Leaf when you give it back to Nissan? Hell, that's not a bad idea, although I'm not sure if it'll be going back to Nissan, if I'm honest. How much is the Model 3? Again, it's meant to start at around £30,000, apparently less than, and that is before any government grant. So at the moment, we don't know. Possibly, it, in theory, could be like 26-ish grand, given the UK government grant starting from. Personally, I think that's a bit ambitious, but who knows? If the £4,500 grant for full electric cars is still around by the time the Model 3 comes out, then I think for the early adopters that'll be quite a bonus, really. So fingers crossed on that one. I've been comparing PC prices to the Golf GTE. So the Golf GTE, if you look around, you can get the Golf GTE a lot cheaper than dealers are offering it. I'm about 23 grandish when I last looked at those. It's been a while since I have checked, but for me the GTE doesn't make sense. I mentioned this in the previous online stream. It's a car that's quite a bit more expensive than the GTI, but only saves you a bit on fuel compared to the GTI. So if you're keeping the car for 3 years, you'd be financially significantly better off by buying a GTI, which is going to be faster and more fun as well. And you'll spend more on fuel, but ultimately you'll save a chunk on the purchase price. So yeah, the GTE at the moment doesn't make financial sense because of the list price, to me anyway. Let's say another 2 years for the M3. I think I'm expecting the first quarter of 2020. So hopefully just a bit less than 2 years from now for when I'll get mine. I'm not a current Tesla owner, of course, but I did get a deposit on day one, so fingers crossed. Oh, it's probably worth saying as well that when I spoke to the salesman, he said that if anybody puts a deposit down today on a Model 3, the predicted delivery date by Tesla is the end of 2020. So that's you've got to be looking at 2021. If you haven't got a deposit down now, it's going to be a long time off. So they're going to be very rare for the first year, 18 months or so. So if I do end up getting it reasonably early on, and I can't afford it, personally, I don't think I'll have a problem selling it. May even make some money on it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to flip it or anything. I've waited, by the time it arrives, I'll have waited at least 3 years for the damn thing. So the last thing I want to do is sell it a month after I buy it. But if they are a bit more expensive than we thought, I'm still going to get it, enjoy it for a bit, and then maybe sell it on. I don't know. What are you going to do? Is anybody chatting right now actually got a Tesla Model 3 reservation? Or if you're in America, have you actually got a Tesla Model 3? Let us know. Are you up from Barnsley? Yeah, Barnsley. I wonder how much the 60 kilowatt Leaf will be by the time the 3 comes. I reckon it'll be a similar price, you know. Given the list, the prices of the 40 kilowatt hour, the 60 has got to be a lot more expensive, and it's got the thermal management and all that. So I think the starting price of the 60 will be in the 30s. So I think it'll be very much a comparison with the Model 3. Pardon me. Any thoughts about importing a Volt? No, because they don't do a right-hand drive version, basically. So I don't want to import a car. I don't want to drive on the left, the left-hand side of the car in a right-hand drive country. It won't make sense. My wife wouldn't enjoy that, and it's not such an amazing car for all that effort. It's meant to be very good, and I wish they would bring it over, but for now I guess we'll just have to do without. Picking up a 40 kilowatt in 2 weeks. Next car will be a Tesla. A lot of people going for the current, the new 40 kilowatt Leaf. Does the rapid gate issue cause a problem for you? Might be worth doing something on that in the future. Any update on Leafgate? I'm still in talks with Nissan. They were due to ring me early this week, and I got an email at the end of the week to say they're still working on it. I feel like history is repeating itself on this, because it's been, well, by the time I hear something, which will be at least Monday by now, that will have been 2 weeks, I think, since I got the first call. Tuesday. Come Tuesday, it'll be 2 weeks from when they rung me, about the video. And we're still at square one. They do not know what to do or offer me. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I will do an update at some point when I know, but it's taking a long time. The Tesla subreddit that said if you compared the American price of the Model S to the British price and did the same ratio for the M3, it would start at £32,000. And that is before government grant. So in theory, it might start at 28-ish. That's a possibility. I mean, 28 grand for an M3? That's very tempting. Even the rear-wheel drive only car that's out in America at the moment, I think it's something like 4.9 seconds to 60, according to people on YouTube. So it's going to be a really impressive car. Fingers crossed, anyway. Right, let's scroll up a bit. Who will come first? Tesla going bust or you getting your Model 3? Tesla are not going bust. It'll never happen. They've got far too much stuff behind them, money and investors. I'm not worried about that at all. I have a reservation. End of 2019 would be nice. More time to save up. I'm in the same boat. I need more time to save up. If they said early 2019, your car's going to turn up, that would probably put me in a very strange financial position to the point where I probably couldn't afford the car. So yes, I need saving up time as well. These electric car manufacturers are a joke. Demand is clear. The public need them, yet they are slow in responding. Yes, I agree. Nearly every car you can buy at the moment, electric car, it has a massive lead time. Even some specifications of Leaf in colours are at least 6 months now. Although you could probably get a Leaf within the next couple of months if you ordered it and you went for a common spec. Everything has got ridiculous. Ioniq's nearly a year. The e-Golf is, I think, at least 10 months. The Kia Soul, again, I think that's 8-9 months. So basically, every EV at the moment has got a ridiculous lead time. So if you are thinking about buying an electric car at the start of 2019, you're going to have to order it now. I mean, that's the silly situation we're in. My reservation I just checked, made on April 5th, 2016, delivery estimate early 2019. Yeah, mine says early 2019 as well. So like I say, for me, end of 2019 is when you'll start to see the first ones in the UK. Not necessarily me will get mine or other people who did a first day reservation. We do know that current Tesla owners will get theirs before anyone else. So I still firmly believe the end of 2019. I'll put the tweet up from Elon Musk again. When someone asked him when the right-hand drive cars were coming to the UK, he stated that probably mid next year before we were able to make the right-hand drive cars. So I think it's perfectly doable. I think it's a reasonable assumption that end of 2019 is where we're at, and start of 2019, first quarter, for the configurator to be released. Do you think that the Model 3 will push down used Model S prices? I don't know. I've been keeping an eye on these because if they did get to the level where I could afford a used Model S, I would probably go for one. But I would only want to buy one personally from Tesla and get the 4 years warranty that you get with a used, or most of the used Model S Teslas. I don't want a Tesla Model S out of warranty. There's just too much to go wrong on them in my eyes. A few people on YouTube have had some fairly expensive repair bills for something as silly as a door handle. The Tesla used inventory, I've looked on it today. They're still starting at about 40, 48, 49 for the cheapest ones. So you're looking at a 50 grand upwards car for the cheapest used Model S on Tesla's inventory. You can get one cheaper privately, of course. In fact, does anybody know if you can actually buy a warranty from Tesla once the original 4 years has passed? Can you do that? I don't know, because that was something I would buy into, just for peace of mind mainly. Back to the original question. Will the Model 3 push used Model S prices down? It must do, because if you could get a Model 3 for 35 grand, or even 30 grand upwards, the Model S, you're not going to want one for 40, a used one that's 4 year old or whatever. So I would think it will have an effect on it, certainly. Time will tell, and given the lead time, as I said about 10 minutes ago, if you order a Model 3 now, you won't actually get yours, according to Tesla, till end of 2020, probably early 2021. So if you haven't got a Model 3 reservation now, it's going to be several years before you get it. Hell, if you have got a reservation on day one, it's going to be another year or two anyway. So we've got a long time. A used Model S with free supercharging. A better car than the M3. Hate the idea of the centre screen replacing the binnacle display, and it's all controlled via fiddly GUI rather than stalks and buttons. There has been an update recently for the buttons, I believe, on the steering wheel. But yes, I know what you mean. The Model S is a better car. I think no one can argue with that. But it's double the price. So you get what you pay for at the end of the day. The free supercharging doesn't bother me that much. We're probably only talking a few £100 a year. I don't live anywhere near a supercharger, nor would I use and abuse one just to save a couple of quid and a day in fuel costs. So I do plan on doing long journeys in whichever Tesla or whatever car I do end up in. I want to travel across Europe. I want to go all over the place, which is why I want a Tesla, because the supercharging network makes it very easy for anybody to do that. If I wanted to take a 60 kilowatt hour Leaf across Europe, I'd have to plan where to stop. I'd have to hope they were still working and that it's not blocked or iced or someone's using it. You don't have any of that worries with the Tesla, which is why ultimately at the moment they are still the pinnacle of electric cars, because it's not just the car, it's the infrastructure around it, and Tesla understand that, which is why they've put the supercharging network around the world. It's the key part to it. Thoughts on the Kona EV? It's meant to be impressive, but until we see the price, I don't know. 2020, let's be honest. Yeah, I think early 2020 for me. Late 2019 for the first to trickle in this country. I still think that is the case. I don't think I'll get mine in 2019, end of 2019, but early 2020 for first day reservation holders. Tesla had a used 60 kilowatt hour for 39,000, and you probably want to spend a few grand on top of that to get it to 75. Let's face it. So yeah, I guess they do turn up. I mean, I wouldn't want a Tesla without autopilot. I think it's pointless in getting one without autopilot because it's awesome, and in the times I've used it, I would use it a lot. I do go down south often enough to justify it. I do nearly 20,000 miles a year, so I do want autopilot. Getting a Tesla without one is something I'm not interested in. Do you think we will have to wait even longer for the standard battery once the M3 arrives? I asked the Tesla sales guy, and he said apparently he believes all versions of the M3 will be available by the time we get to the UK, getting their allotment. I do believe it's probably going to be the same as the US, where they're going to sell the higher spec versions first because there's bigger profit in it. But yeah, no doubt there'll be a delay. What's your opinion on the Volkswagen ID starting production next year? I have no problems with getting a Volkswagen. I've owned several in the past, and even with Dieselgate, it doesn't bother me. If the ID is as good as we hope it is and the price is acceptable, then yeah. But ultimately, I always come back to the infrastructure. It doesn't matter if the car is brilliant. If you have to rely on the current infrastructure we have in the UK or around Europe that's not Teslas, it makes things significantly more difficult to do long journeys. So that's why I'm kind of sticking with Tesla for now. I know there are new infrastructure and things like Ionity coming out, but at the moment it's not here, and it's going to be a few years before it is as well. So, have you investigated insurance on a Tesla? I haven't, but I'm at that age now where it doesn't seem to matter what car I get anymore. A Mini Cooper S, Polo GTI, Nissan Leaf, they're all about the same price for me, as ridiculous as it sounds. I think I'm past the point of where my age makes a difference. I think it's just a case of your postcode and what it is. I've got quotes on expensive cars and much faster cars before, and it's made no difference. Weirdly, the Polo GTI was slightly cheaper than the Leaf. And it was a brand new car. So who knows? I don't think it will affect me, but you got to remember you're comparing it against a very expensive car. A brand new Tesla M3 is going to be a £30,000 car, so you can't compare it against a Ford Fiesta or a Ford Focus even. You've got to have a comparable one, just because it's the car you have now. A lot of people I find have a 10-year-old car, compare it against a brand new Leaf, and are surprised that the insurance goes up. You're comparing a brand new car against an old car. So I don't think it'll change too much, personally. I reckon Kona is going to be really hard to get. Yeah, they've pretty much already said it's going to be made in similar numbers to the Ioniq, which is like rocking horse crap. Is that you can't come up? It's very hard to find. So yes, I don't think the Kona is going to be easy to find at all, and therefore is semi-pointless in itself. Let me scroll up a bit. Where are we? I'm not keeping up with the text, so you have to forgive me if I miss some out on that one. Any opinion on the fact that the battery prices have dropped hugely over last years, but the prices for EVs have stayed high? Well, they haven't really. They've come down. They have come down. The list price might not have, but in real terms, they certainly have. And at the end of the day, the Leaf, when it first came out, was sold at a loss to try and get them into the market. Now they're sold with some sort of profit. So I think the prices have stayed the same. It's just that the manufacturers are starting to actually want to make money from them, and they have to make money out of them for them to be designed and be worthwhile. I think it's just skewed what people think, because there was so much cheaper, there was subsidised effectively when they first came out, that it's made them look more expensive now. Right, I'm going to have to look on this screen for the text, I'm afraid. Volkswagen ID starts at £17,000. Does it? I don't know. If it does, great. Depends on the battery size, but that seems very cheap to me. I've heard lots of Model S owners in Europe complain about its large size. Yeah, I mean, we took the Model S up to Scotland to do the North Coast 500, and some of those roads are very, very narrow. So yes, it's not so much a large car as much more the width. Parking, you have to be spot on. I'd be concerned about, when you're in a typical supermarket car park, it's hard enough in a normal car. In a Tesla, you've got a bigger chance of someone hitting your door. So I guess you'd have to plan around it, I suppose. But yeah, it is a big car in Europe. It really is. Is my stream working? Can people just verify that the stream's okay? It's buffering on my end. So if anybody could put a text on to say if it's working or not, that'd be great. It's working. That's good. Is a used 24 kilowatt hour Leaf worth buying as a first EV? No worries on reliability. I've had the 24 and a 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, and I've never once had to go back to Nissan. There's no rattles, there's no issues, there's no problems at all. Even the older ones don't seem to have any issues at all. You get a 5-year warranty, 60,000 mile warranty on the battery with the Leaf as well, if that's an issue for you. But I would have no issues about buying a used 24 kilowatt hour Leaf in terms of reliability, so no, I'm not concerned about that at all. Here's a controversial topic. SUV 4x4 EVs, the Outlander, etc. What do you make of that? Genuine space in the market or just an excuse to own a massive car on the school run? I think ultimately they make them cheaper to run. The Outlander, if you're just going to do the school run in, go to town and back on, it makes sense as a plug-in hybrid. If you're doing longer runs in something like an Outlander, they're very inefficient. It costs a lot more than even a normal Outlander would cost a diesel one. So there's a market there, but ultimately I don't see the point in getting a big 4x4 if you don't need that capability. Although saying that, the footprint of an Outlander is smaller than a Model S. And if you look at the actual footprint, if you look down on one, the space it takes up, yes, they might be taller, but ultimately they're not taking up that much more space than a Mondeo would, so or maybe even a Focus. So they're not that big. They just look big because they're taller. Are you keeping the Leaf for the next 2 years? I can't say so with 100% certainty, but probably for now. I don't know. We haven't quite decided yet. We've got until the end of July to make us minds up. I can't justify the high price for the Model S. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's such an amazing car, so fighting the urge to go and buy a second-hand one. The biggest problem for me is the interior. We drove, it was a 90D, about 90-odd thousand pounds around Scotland, and the interior was a severe letdown. The video is in my channel, of course. The air vents, for example, rattled like mad. They were cheap. In fact, they moved by themselves when you went over a bump. The leather felt really, really cheap. It just wasn't the interior of a £90,000 car. Nowhere near it. So that is one thing that puts me off the Model S. It's probably also worth noting that when we spoke to the guy in the dealership, the salesman, and said, look, we were a bit disappointed with the interior of this Model S. I think it was a 2015 car. He said, yeah, the cars we built over the last year or so, no problems at all. Much, much better. They don't have that issue, which is good, but that's effectively them admitting that there's issues with earlier cars, with build quality. So it does put me off a little bit, I admit. Doing that sort of purchase and 40-50 grand on a car that's got rattles, you could probably forgive it because it's a Tesla and you get other benefits, but ultimately we were disappointed with the interior. So I don't know what you think about that, but it wasn't great from my point of view. Let's go for the next one. Andy, did you hear from Ken from Model 3 Owners Club? EV resolution about meeting him up. Yes, I can't meet up on the Saturday when he's hoping to meet with everyone else, but I have said that I might be able to meet up with him on the Friday. So at the moment, because nothing's finalised from his end, I will hope to meet him on the Friday and maybe even do a live video chat. I don't know. There's a lot to figure out until then, but yes, he has contacted me. Do you agree that for EVs to succeed, we need to standardise charging infrastructure? Yeah, it will happen eventually. It's like anything else is competing. It's cliche. It's like VHS and Betamax, I suppose. One of them will win out. Probably CCS ultimately. At the moment, there's nothing we can do about it. Nissan are using CHAdeMO and are sticking with it. Renault are going over to CCS, I believe. Most of the European manufacturers, Volkswagen, Audi, that sort of thing, are using CCS. Porsche using CCS. It's different standards, so it would help, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I've genuinely considered an S as well. Massive amount of money that I simply cannot justify. I see what you're saying. Most of my driving involves a trip to the shops and back. Yeah, definitely. For that, it's a bit excessive. Around the £40,000 to £50,000 mark, I could consider it a super luxury toy. If I had £40,000 to £50,000 to spend on a car and a wife that would let me spend that on a car, I would consider it definitely a toy. Although I would use it a lot. Like I said, I do over 20,000 miles a year. So I would get a lot from it. If you don't do many miles, not so much. Any reply back from Nissan Rant? Yeah, just to update anyone that's recently joined. We're still in talks. So practically 2 weeks on by the time they get back in touch. And we're still at square one. So nothing's happened. They contacted me a week last Tuesday. And I still don't have anything at all. Literally nothing I could tell you if I wanted to. So I'm waiting for them. The ball's in their court. I will do an update when I've got one to update you with. I wish a second-hand one was that price. In Australia, the cheapest second-hand Tesla is $98,000. What's that in pounds? I'm guessing it's more expensive. Right, if you want to feel really bad, check out how cheap the Yanks can get a Tesla direct from the dealer. Well, yeah, it's made. Yeah, everything's cheaper in America, isn't it? Mitsubishi Fev is just an excuse to hog a CHAdeMO for an hour. It was certainly until they started charging for it, although you still find that at IKEA's because it's still free to charge at an IKEA if you shop there. Battery prices have dropped a lot over the years. Why haven't the cost of EVs become more cost effective? They have. It's just manufacturers are making more money from it now. Whereas before, Nissan used to lose money on selling Leafs. Now presumably they make a little bit, and ultimately it has to be a sustainable product. So I think they haven't come down on the price to us, but the manufacturers are starting to make money on it instead of a loss, which is basically the same thing. So rather than the manufacturer subsidising the car to make it affordable, it's just naturally affordable. And it has to happen. At the end of the day, if they're not making money out of it, they're not going to put any research or development into it or manufacture them, blah, blah, blah. So they have gone down, it's just they haven't to us, I guess. Luxury car tax happened. Tax on a Tesla now. £30,000 extra in tax, then add another 6k in stamp duty. So basically, 75 Model S is 145,000. Holy crap, that's a lot. Did you hire a Tesla? We did. If so, how much? We got it when it was on offer, although I think it's down to it's basically £150 per day. Sometimes they're £179 a day, depending on if they've got an offer on. That was for a 90D. Seems to be fairly typical. There's quite a few Tesla kind of rental places coming out now, so you're looking about £150 a day. Bear in mind that that's free fuel, because they give you a card to charge with, and of course you've got Tesla superchargers. So we did 1,400 miles in 3 days. So we saved about £250, I think we said. I think it was something like that, just off of my head, on whether if we did take one of our cars in petrol. So we spent £450 on rental, saved a couple £100, say, in fuel. So the way I look at it, for £200-300, we've got to drive a Model S for a few days around Scotland. So if you want to hire one, do a ton of miles in it, and make it worth your while. Oh God, stop reading out my nonsense. Too late. Nissan appear to have stopped the 3-4 day test drives. Yes, it looks like they have. I have a feeling they'll bring it back once the new Leaf, when they need to sell more. At the moment, they're selling everything they're making, so there's no point in doing offers or reducing the price. When they become more common, or they've got other manufacturers competing against them, maybe they'll bring it back. But yeah, without that 4-day test drive, I probably wouldn't have bought the Leaf either. So it was definitely a good key thing to have. Any other EVs available in Australia? Pass. So yeah, finally caught up with the chat. So it's what do you think? Back to the original topic of the video, about the Tesla Model 3. Do you think that the end of 2019 for the first to trickle into the UK is a reasonable assumption? Certainly, given Mr. Musk's tweet that they're going to make right and drive cars the middle of 2019, I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume that we might see some by then. I've no idea whether we'll be the first on the right and drive market to get some. I hope so. Fingers crossed. I think the configurator will be out within the year. I'm guessing first quarter of next year. So that'll be interesting, because as soon as you configure it. As soon as you can configure a car, you find out how much it's going to cost you. That's what I need to know. It's by far the most expensive car I have bought ever, by quite a long way, if I'm honest. I would like the bigger battery version. I would make use of the extra miles. If I had a Tesla now, I'd be flying all over Europe, as well as the UK, and road trips and whatnot. So yeah, I'm probably looking into the high 30s, I think, for the cheapest bigger battery version. So yeah, and might not even like the car. I've never sat in one, I've never driven it. I might end up getting in one just before I get it and think, I don't like this. It is a possibility. So yeah, any other questions from people Tesla related, as we're on that kind of video? I'll reiterate, the camera will be getting replaced with the proper one soon enough, and I will be doing, it's probably worth mentioning, a live web chat with a few other YouTubers and people around the world. So it'd be very much as you see here now, only you would see me and them on the live chat. So I'll be talking to them live over the internet and streaming it live at the same time. I think I've figured that one out as well. So I think that'd be quite good. I'm going to contact several YouTubers and say let's do an online chat with people talking about it as well. I think that'd be a fun thing to do, and technically not that hard. So yeah, if you are on YouTube, you might get an email or a direct message from me soon. If there is any things you want to ask me in the meantime, in between videos, then I'm on Twitter. I think Twitter's probably the best thing to use. My Twitter name is EVManUK on Twitter. So follow us on there, and we'll have a chat. I quite often post gibberish, so yes, all good. I'm curious to know if you didn't have your PCP right now and wanted to get an EV. Is there anything on the market you'd go for, or would you head back to an ICE? Ooh, that's a question. If I basically wanted if I'd never had one, what would I get now? Well, realistically, the Leaf is still probably the best value EV at the moment. You've got the problem of, as I said earlier, the e-Golf and the Hyundai Ioniq, the Kia Soul. All of the other ones have a ridiculous lead time of up to a year. I would probably say the Leaf, just because the two I've had have been bomb-proof. I think it's got its flaws, don't get me wrong. The 40, given the fact I do lots of, I do long journeys, the rapid gate thing, the fact they're going to heat up, that does put me off. That would affect me. I do long enough journeys to get to know that problem exists. So, it's a difficult one. I don't think I would probably get. I don't know. That's a good question. If they were all available right now, it would probably be the Leaf, mainly through lack of competition. Nothing compares against the Leaf anymore, given its price and range. The e-Golf, for example, I think if the e-Golf was a similar price to the Leaf and did a similar range, I would probably go for the Golf. It's got a better interior. It's a Golf, it's a known entity, it's a nice car, and if it could do the range at a similar price as the Leaf, I think a lot of people I have asked have said yes, I'd go for the Golf. But it doesn't have the range and it's more expensive, so I guess I'd have to go for a Leaf. Although I'd be tempted to just wait until something better comes out, really. I don't think any electric car right now should be sold without thermal battery management. It's a ridiculous thing that Nissan have done with the 40 and having none. If anything, it reduces the lifespan of the batteries, as well as obviously the long range issues, and it does put me off buying them. I think that the 40 kilowatt hour Leaf is going to be the lemon of the range. Once the 60 comes out and maybe a 70 in the future, the 40 will be looked upon as the one that unless you're just doing local journeys, I'd avoid that. That's my thing. I think the residuals will be hit by the fact that the 60 is going to come out and the battery issues. Excluding the lead time, would you say the Hyundai is still a worse value than the Leaf? It's been a while, I admit, since I looked at the pricing of the Ioniq. But given its range, which is effectively, I think, slightly higher than the 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, I think it's a bit too expensive. I don't know if it's gone down. I'm guessing not, given the huge lead time. For me, the best value electric car right now is a used 30 kilowatt hour Leaf. You'd be probably looking at anywhere from 12 to 17,000, depending on which version and age and mileage and whatnot. You shouldn't really have any issues with long range journeys and getting, and it's restricting the charge. It can do enough miles to cover the vast majority of people. So I think that's, if someone wanted to buy an electric car now, I would say a used 30 kilowatt hour Tecna or a Centre is the one I would probably recommend. So that's probably what I'd go for, actually, to answer the previous question. The Zoe. It's too small for me. That's why I never even looked at one when we got the Leaf. It'll do for all the commuting and stuff, don't get me wrong, but when we go camping or on a holiday, the Leaf is literally packed up to the roof. It's jammed full. The Zoe wouldn't cope with that, so it wouldn't do everything we needed to. So that's why I wouldn't go for the Zoe. But if size isn't a problem, then it's meant to be a very capable car. The AC charging is a significant issue because the charging infrastructure is crap in this country for AC charging and nowhere near as reliable. I would be uncomfortable doing a long journey in a Zoe because of the infrastructure. compared to the Leaf. Is a different kettle of fish. I usually have 2 or even 3 chargers to use at services, for example. The Zoe would have 1, very occasionally 2. So you've always got that, oh, is it going to be working? Is someone going to be using it? So that's why the Zoe for me is always going to be like the poor relative of the Leaf, unfortunately, because of the charging infrastructure mainly. I'm with you on that conclusion. There's nothing on the market. The Leaf is really the only viable option. Yeah, it is. I would still say a used one. Do you like the i3 or not? Forgetting the size, it's too small for what I like. It's one of those. I'll be honest. I've never driven one. I do want to, and I'm trying to get hold of one shortly. But I can't see the point in the car, given its cost. It's significantly more expensive than a Leaf. I mean, the new Leaf, and we're talking a fair bit more expensive. It's 4 seats. The interior's odd. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with build quality. I know it's quick. I'm sure it will feel solid. It's a BMW. I've owned BMWs in the past. I get it. I know why people buy BMs, because they do feel a notch up from a Golf Focus sort of level car. But I just can't understand the car. Given the cost for what it costs, it doesn't make sense to me why anybody buys one, unless you've got a really good deal on a monthly basis or a lease. They're horrendously expensive for what they are. So I think it's mainly a badge thing. It's become the new Saab. If you're an architect, you probably end up in an i3. A family probably wouldn't buy one. So you're looking at a couple or a single person. But then when you think how much you're going to spend on it, you could probably buy a Leaf and still have 10 grand left over. So there's no financial reason to buy an i3. So that just leaves, dare I say it, badge snobbery. They're meant to be very good cars, don't get me wrong. I need to drive one to see whether I go, that's why people buy one. I know they're very quick, but they're not a fun car to drive. It's not like you want to hooner it around country roads in one on their skinny little tyres. So they're not hot hatch, they're just quick in a straight line. So yeah, I don't know. Can someone tell me what the reason, why if you've got an i3, why you bought one? When did Elon tweet the information about the left-hand drive Model 3? I'm guessing you mean right-hand drive, the one, this one. That was 22nd of March, just a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure what you mean if you mean left-hand drive, but that was the right-hand drive tweet that he replied to. Yes, the i3 saves power by not using indicators. Yes, the i3 interior is awful. Carpet on the dashboard. I have a few people complaining about the recycled nature of the i3. It doesn't have the wraparound feeling that you get from a BMW. Getting a 1 Series or a 3 Series or a 5 Series, 7 Series, you feel like it's a driver's car, the ultimate driving machine. The i3 isn't. It doesn't have that. It doesn't. Things aren't kind of pointed to the driver. It doesn't. It's not a focused BMW. So this is what I'm saying. I can't figure out the i3 as a car. It's not. It's way more expensive. It's small. It's not really got any range better than other electric cars. Certainly in the price bracket. The only thing that makes the i3 interesting is the range extender. I think that's a cracking idea. But then every single person, I get many tweets about this, every single person who I know that's ever had an i3 with a range extender seems to delight in telling us that they've only used it maybe once a year. Yeah, I've got a range extender, I've never had to use it. I get a lot of that. So someone spent, a couple of £1,000 or more on an optional extra they've never used. It seems bonkers to me. I don't know. Just get a Twizy. Yeah, I've proven the Twizy is capable. If not a bit hard on your back. Do you think there should be a law on being iced? It would never be a law, it's a civil matter, but ultimately, in fact, to be honest, as an electric car driver, I find electric car owners parking in a bay and not charging a bigger problem than being iced. So no, it will never be a law as such, because it can never be a law. It's up to the car park owners to enforce that, not the charge point people. Icing should be policed as stringently as disabled spaces. Yeah, because it's your fuel pump. I imagine if people regularly parked next to a petrol pump and walked off into the supermarket, people would kick off. i3 with its pram wheels. Yeah, they are very skinny, but it's all about efficiency. Not having a pint tonight. I've just had tea, quite full. But that's not a bad idea, actually, now you mention it. Oh, see, now I've got the taste. Thanks for mentioning that. Where are we? Range extender only can do 50 mile an hour while using. That's more than enough for most things. I think the range extender is a better idea than a plug-in hybrid. I would rather have a car that can do, 150 miles on electric and then 50 with a range extender that's hardly going to be used, than a car that's got a petrol engine and a plug-in hybrid and a battery that can do like 20-30 miles. I think the range extender makes more sense than a plug-in hybrid, because then the majority of the miles will be electric, but you've still got that backup if you need it. So yeah, I would say the i3 the i3 is good for the range extender, and it's a cracking idea. I'm not sure why no one else has done it. I guess maybe it's a technical thing. When will you visit the USA and test our cars here? Purely on cost. You're looking at £500 or £600 for flights just for me to get to the USA and back, let alone accommodation and all that sort of stuff. So spending nearly £1,000 to test drive a few cars. Good luck on persuading the missus that one, put it that way. I'd love to. You want to fly me out there? I'll be there in a heartbeat. Cheeky pint out. Yes, I would like a pint. Anyway, how long have I been on now? Where's the time? Oh my god, it's nearly 50 minutes. That's not done too bad. I like these live videos. They're so much easier, and you don't have to spend 4 hours editing them either. 106 viewers, £1 each. I would love to get £1 for every view. That'd be awesome. Ultimately, I don't think there are many people that are willing to patronise Patreon. I'm not even sure what the verb is. I wouldn't feel comfortable on people giving me money to fly to America and back. Like a Just Giving campaign, because I feel like I'm taking money from charities. I'm not rich, but I'm not poor either. So if people give me money to go to America to test drive a car, I would feel like I've done charities out of money. I don't know. I think that's a bit strange. No surprise, no response from Nissan UK, despite their promises of a reply early this week on the rapid charging issue. No, they sent me an email Thursday before Good Friday. We'll ring you early next week. And they rung me. Sorry, they didn't ring me. They still haven't rung me after the first time. They sent another email yesterday to say, we're still working on that. And that was Thursday, which isn't early next week at all. So, yes, things seem to... History's repeating itself at the moment. I'm keeping an eye on it. Next week I won't be here. I'm off to Scotland again to do the North Coast 500. So if I have a signal, maybe they will ring me next week. Don't know. September next year is my bet. Presumably for the Model 3. I suppose it's possible. End of 2019. I think there could be some, as you say, some 69 plates for the Model 3. I mean, even if... Yeah, there will be. Even if it's start of 2020. Hell, mine could be a 69 reg if I'm right on the idea that it'll turn up early 2020 for me. I reserved before the unveil. So did I. It is a bit strange, isn't it, really? Putting £1,000 down on a car you've never seen. you know nothing about. You don't know how much it costs. Don't know its range. Don't know what it looks like. It's a bit crackers really, but it was a fully refundable. It still is a fully refundable deposit. So I fail to see the issue. It's an easy gamble. If I change my mind, I get my £1,000 back. If I don't, I get an early Model 3. Win-win for me. How much extra would you pay for Model 3 plaid mode? I'm guessing you mean ludicrous Model 3. Well, from the videos I've seen online about the Model 3 in America, even the just rear-wheel drive model does 4.9 seconds to 60. The all-wheel drive model will presumably be a bit quicker, so the ludicrous version, it won't bother me, to be honest. I'd probably pay £1,000 for it, but it'll be way more expensive than that. I don't think I'll ever be in a position to afford it, if I'm honest. Any speculation about extra costs for the 60 kilowatt hour Leaf? Yeah, I think it's 23ish, is it, for the cheapest 40 kilowatt hour Leaf? 23, 24. We're looking at 30 grand minimum for the 60 kilowatt hour. I can get hold of a Tecna now for about 24,000 if I shop around enough. So I think 30 is likely for the cheapest one. A 60 kilowatt hour Tecna, I reckon you're looking at close to 40 grand, and that puts it smack bang in Tesla territory. And if it's exactly the same as the 40 kilowatt hour, just got a bigger battery, I can't see it being able to compete with the Model 3. The only reason people are going to buy the Leaf over the M3 is because you actually get hold of a Leaf, whereas the M3 will still have a ridiculous waiting time. But then again, maybe the 60 kilowatt hour Leaf will have a ridiculous waiting time, because every other EV does at the moment. Roadster, not M3. Yeah, I wish I had even close to money for that one. What are my thoughts on the Roadster? It's obviously incredibly fast. If it does have this 500-600 mile range as well, then I don't know. I mean, I still consider myself a petrol head at heart. I think electric cars are the future. I like electric cars. I also like a nice petrol car. I like a nice sounding car, a nice engine, and that's one thing I'm concerned about. And I had a chat with a developer from Aston Martin about this last year. What are Aston Martin going to do with a full electric car? Half of the soul, as they call it, of an Aston Martin is the noise it makes. Take that away. Is it like a soulless car? Is it like watching a big blockbuster film on a huge TV on mute? I don't know. I think once you get over the ridiculous acceleration of the Roadster, I guess it's how it handles and how it makes you feel. I suppose we're just going to get a loud whine now rather than a throaty warble. You are right to be down on Nissan. The Leaf has been great for EVs, but 3 problems. 1, rapid gate. 2, need an RF pouch to prevent relay attacks. 3, CHAdeMO's been good, but time to standardise. Well, if it helps make you feel better, when someone broke into my house over a year ago and stole my 3-month-old Polo GTI, the Leaf keys were next to the Polo keys and they left it. So they obviously didn't want the Leaf. I do know of a Leaf that has been stolen, but ultimately I don't think most thieving gets will probably want a short-range electric car at the moment. They won't be able to do much in them. Not to say what happened, but a lot of cars have keyless entry now, so it's kind of normal. It's become the normal. Did you get a Tesla referral code when you put the deposit on the... No, I didn't. At least I don't think I did. I've never seen one. I think you have to actually get a Tesla before you get one of those. CHAdeMO allows vehicle to grid, which CCS doesn't. I didn't know that. That'd be interesting. I think CCS has the capability to go much, much higher charging speeds than CHAdeMO is currently capable of. I don't know. It'd be nice to have a standardisation, wouldn't it? It makes sense. I have a longish trip this weekend in a 24 kilowatt hour Leaf. Over 100 miles. Any advice? All motorway. You'll only have to stop once. I've done that many times in the 24. I've been to Southampton and back from Yorkshire in the 24 when I had it. Just plan where you're going to stop. Basically, look at ZapMap or PlugShare and pick somewhere probably in the final third or halfway, at least halfway onwards, to stop and charge. Services, Polar Ultra Charger. If they've got at least 2, maybe 3 or 3 chargers, go for that one, just because it's more likely to be one available. Other than that, I would probably stick behind, park yourself behind a truck, safe distance, and use the speed limiter, not cruise control. Cruise control is idiotic in the Leaf. It uses way more electricity than a careful foot would. So use a speed limiter, set it to about 63, 64, and just carry on. You may even be able to do the full 100 miles on one charge. I have done that before, although you'll be arriving with a very low charge. Other than that, it should be fairly straight. No, that should be fairly easy. Would you buy a Leaf over a Zoe? I have twice, so yes. No referral codes for the 3, not yet, I suppose. CCS version 3 will do vehicle to grid. So there we go, I guess that is possible. That's the problem with most modern cars. Generally, people leave their keys fairly close to the parked car. Major problem with BMW, Mercedes, etc. My Polo didn't have vehicle keyless entry. They broke into the car, to the house, and took the keys from the middle floor while we were asleep upstairs. So if they want the car, they're just going to get the key. If they can't do it by radio means, they're going to get it somewhere. Ultimately, though, last time I looked, there was only ever one instance of this kind of the keyless entry hack being used. One in the UK. So I think it's been a bit Daily Mailed, where people seem to think that everybody is suddenly at risk from something that's only happened once in this country. Vehicle to grid only currently used in Japan. Yes, and I believe the original Leaf could do that as well. I wish they'd do it in this thing. I would they do it in this country. I would use that a lot, especially as I'm on a time of day tariff. Seems that most Leaf 2018 driver vids are using ProPilot. Bet that drops the range quite a bit more than the old cruise control did. I'm not sure really. I mean, it's effectively just radar guided cruise control that steers, so it's probably the same as cruise control. But a person would always be able to anticipate what's coming way up ahead. Hold your speed going uphill. Never accelerate uphill if you have to, obviously do so, because accelerating uphill uses significantly more energy than on a flat or downhill. Sometimes you have a little choice, but get up to speed before at the bottom of the hill, and then hold your speed as you're going up it. That makes a big difference. What colour for the Model 3? The cheap one. Whatever's free. I'm not paying £1,000 or £1,500 to paint the car, so I think whatever I think is it black, the free version, the free colour. Then I'd be happy with black. Nothing wrong with that. I do quite like from the launch the matte black one, but I don't know what that would look like after a few years. I'd have to see one, I suppose. It'd be nice to see one in the flesh. Don't have to be close to car for a relay attack. Again, the last time I read this a few months back, there was one relay attack in the country. So I think it's one of these where people are making a huge deal out of something that ultimately is extremely rare. And I'd rather them do that than break into my house again whilst me and my daughter and wife are asleep upstairs. If the car can be replaced, it has been replaced. If you make the car hard to steal, as they've proven, cars are impossible to steal now without the key. So thieves just break into your house instead, or rip it from your hand when you're in the car. So if they want the car, they're going to take it. That's my view. Do you think the community surrounding cars will decrease due to the rise of electric vehicles? Do you mean like online community, car clubs, that sort of thing? No, if anything, there's another community come out buying them being electric. You're still going to have different electric cars. You're going to get boring electric cars. You're going to get fast electric cars. And let's face it, hybrids aren't going anywhere. This ban in 2040 in the UK doesn't affect plug-in hybrids. So the LaFerrari, the Porsche 918, all these sort of super hyper cars, they're not going anywhere. So the engine, the petrol engine is not going anywhere. It's just always going to be a hybrid form. Don't worry about colours. You can get a wrap instead. Protect the paintwork, and you can do whatever you like with the style. Yes, I agree. That's something which, like you say, has the bonus of protecting the paint. There have been loads of Teslas going missing weekly, and most common is Fiesta apparently. In this country, like as I said, if somebody, I mean, Teslas could be tracked as far as I know, so that'd be. I don't know. Send me the links to these because I've never heard of this. I know a few people with a Fiesta STs, and I've never heard anyone say that they're prone to being stolen. I don't think he had an ST. I don't think he's had keyless entry even. Online community. Yeah, no, I don't think the online community are that. There are online communities for ironing. There will always be an online community for something. I'm afraid I can't speak Russian, so I can't answer that one. Loads of Range Rovers taken by Relay. Again, I don't know. I've not heard of this. Is this a urban myth that's flying around, or is it, you can send me some links for it. In the UK, there is. Cheap electric cars will be good. Seems that every manufacturer is going for the high end. You have to go for the high end because they can't manufacture them in enough numbers to make them. I mean, look at Tesla. They find it very difficult to produce what is tiny numbers in manufacturing terms. It will happen eventually. No one can churn out something which is effectively a brand new car that needs to be making a brand new factory that ultimately is responsible for a tiny amount. There are loads of people tweeting saying that EV sales have gone up 30%. 30% of that is still only that. So the very, very, very small amount of electric cars still being sold in the country. I think more will be sold, but we need a gradual changeover. If everyone suddenly bought an electric car, straight away the infrastructure would collapse. Well, not collapse, it wouldn't cope, as in the charging infrastructure. Millions of jobs would disappear overnight that are in the traditional industry. There'd be economic chaos. So we want a gradual, over the next kind of 10-15 years, change over to electric cars, not a sudden woomph. That would be bad. Still no new Relay attack story on Google since December 2017. This is what I'm saying. I looked into this because my dad wanted to know if it was a problem, and I think it's one of these where the media made a huge deal of it. Oh my God, especially the Daily Mail, let's face it. Oh my God, everyone's going to get the car stolen by someone waving a wand next to your front door. People have always stolen cars. I would someone rather take my car without me knowing about it than break into my house and do it. So if they can't get in via the wand and they want your car, they're going to get it another way. Who knows? You can stab a car thief to death now who breaks in and threatens you. Good point. Assuming, of course, you wake up. We were asleep upstairs. If a mouse farts in this house, I wake up. If my daughter gets up to go to the toilet, I wake up. Yet, probably a few people came into my house, came upstairs. We're on 3 floors, so it was the middle floor they come up to. Walked around with the lights on, went through kitchen cupboards, door, coat, pockets, all that, until they found the keys. And never heard a thing. That's after them breaking through the front door with houses and streetlights looking on it. So, I thought it was a lot. I thought I was a lot more secure than we actually were. I always thought I would hear someone that came into my house. I'm sorry, but you won't. I guarantee they're that good. So yeah, it's a scary thought, really. What's the things you are wanting to try with the Model 3? Maybe a launch. Well, ultimately, how it drives. I want to know what it's like without the dash binnacle. I don't think it'll be a problem for me. I think I'll get used to that. My wife, I'm not sure about. Just how it drives, how it feels, the build quality. The biggest issue I had with the Tesla Model S when we drove it was the interior quality. I've recently sat in a Model X P100D and did a launch. I wasn't driving, but the one thing we took from looking around the Model X from the outside was that you could almost fit your little finger between the panel gaps. There was a leaf pack next to it, and there wasn't a gap between the panels. They were perfect. So there are obvious issues with build. So that's the first thing I want to look at when I get to a Model 3, the build quality of it. Replacing all cars with EV will not solve anything. Need to change the ownership model first. Yeah, anyone that says that they... you see this on Twitter a lot, and it really gets on my nerves. I bought an electric car because I care about my child's future. If anybody truly cared about the future of their child in an ecological sense, you wouldn't have a personal car. So an electric car is still bad for the environment. It's just better than a petrol one, ultimately. There is no public charging. There is no public transportation near me. In Yorkshire as a whole, you can get to work if you're lucky. It's not like London, so at the moment I don't see a way around private car ownership. Autonomous taxis, kind of like Johnny Cabs, maybe, but ultimately cars aren't going anywhere for now. But if you really care about the environment, don't bag on about electric car and be holier than thou. It really gets on my nerves. Get a bicycle, walk. If you really care about the environment, walk everywhere. I bought my Volkswagen Tigger 3 months before Dieselgate. Love the car, but I want an electric car next. I have 1 year to go before I can hand it back. What SUV type car will be available in 2019? I think just the Hyundai. Why does it have to be an SUV? I don't get SUVs. I've been through the baby thing. We had a C-Max, and we chose a C-Max instead of a standard Focus, practically identical, because it was easier to get baby seats in and out of. But I don't understand why people are obsessed with SUVs. If you take the SUV version and the car it's based on, like a BMW 3 Series versus an X3, why would anybody choose a car that's more expensive, less economical, no quicker, the riding, the handling's worse, and there's no more space in an SUV than the car it's based on? I don't understand why people buy SUVs. It's really strange. Just ordered a Leaf here in Ireland. The SV with the cold pack costs €30,000, £28,500. It's quite a bit more expensive. There are deals out there. If you look hard enough, there are deals on a car. Let me have a look. See how much I can get an Ascenta for. Although the last time I checked these, they didn't sell them anymore. They're sold out at the moment. But the last time I looked, you were looking at about £23,500 for an Ascenta 40 kilowatt hour Leaf. I think they're just getting very hard to get hold of, so even the discounters don't have any left. I would be very happy with an electric car that's basically a Honda Civic with good range. No self-driving, no fancy anything, just a good basic car that happens to be electric with a low price. Don't we all? I like everything I want for a low price, but unfortunately it doesn't exist quite yet. If you want that car, to be honest, actually the car exists now. It's called a used 30 kilowatt hour Leaf. Get a 1 year old or less than a year old 30 kilowatt hour Leaf. None of the fancy stuff. Rock solid reliability. That's the Civic of the EV world for me. With regards to stealing a car by a relay attack, modern keys are encrypted. You can't just replay the last signal sent, as it changes every time. The new versions are, but any car you bought a year or two back weren't, as far as I know, but I'm sure there'll be a fix at some point. My Chinese meal has arrived. Catch you later. Lucky you. Mitsubishi SUV in 2019. Of course, the Jaguar I-Pace. That's going to be out now as well. It's a very expensive car, but I guess it is an SUV. People are obsessed with SUVs. Any idea if I can get a roof rack to fit a Leaf? Yes, you can. We'll be glad to get rid of my MPV in May. But the missus is moaning about lack of space to get her bargains. Show her Amazon and online shopping. You'll be amazed at the you don't need space. It comes to you, and it's probably cheaper. But yes, I have seen a Leaf with a roof rack. I don't know if there's a specific model, but yeah, it can take one. I'm 6'2" and have a bad back. That's why I like an SUV type car. Nothing worse than the seat being lower than my... Yes, I see where you're going on that one. You have a reasonable reason to get that. Although, I suppose the taller car means you sat higher up. You just got to sit in a car, I guess, to see if it fits. But you see what I'm saying about the SUV thing? Why do people buy them? Probably because they think it's safer. I don't know, or the look, the chunk. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I like a car that's fun to drive. The Leaf isn't, by the way, but that's why I got the Mini Cooper S. I can't wait to get to the North Coast 500 next week in that car. It's going to be a great laugh. It's going to be enormous fun. And SUVs for me is never. I can't think of a single SUV that's beyond the exotic that's fun to drive. What do you think of the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, Citroen C0, Peugeot Ion? They're meant to be terrible cars. Maybe good for the time, but even I've spoken to a few people that sell these, and they're going, "Oh God, they're awful," but people want them. I wouldn't consider them a car any more than I would consider the Twizy a car. For me, it's like a tent on wheels, but it gets you from A to B, as long as B's not too far away. I'm 6'7" and drive a Leaf with plenty of spare headroom. Yeah, I think he means probably more the angle that the seat's at. You do tend to be higher up in SUVs. Yeah, ultimately I think SUVs are it's Chelsea tractor syndrome, isn't it? The school run sort of car, and everyone seems to want one for some reason. Would you prefer a BMW X3 or a BMW 3 Series? I know what I'd go for. I forgot to say we'll be using the Leaf to go across Europe from the west side of Ireland to Hungary. 2,500 kilometres. We very nearly we're going to do a trip this year in our Leaf, a 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, to go from Yorkshire to the Alpenstrasse in Germany, South Germany basically, and then back again. Unfortunately, money came into it in the end, but ultimately, if you can take your time compared to a normal car getting there, it's a cheap way of getting across Europe. It just takes you longer, that's all. Peugeot cost 33 grand. What, the Peugeot Ion? Yeah, they were expensive. If anybody bought that Peugeot Ion new for that price, just think how much money they've lost. Oh dear. It's like the Datchas, or Dacias, whatever you call them. I believe they're called Datchas. They're meant to be good basic cars for a cheap price. But for me, unless you keep your cars for a long time, if you're every 3 years you change your car, a cheap car like a Dacia makes no financial sense at all. Yes, the purchase price is cheap, but they'll lose so much value in residuals. You lose it all at the other end. I could buy a Golf GTI just to pick something randomly, and then I will be able to sell it in 3 years, and then it'll cost me like 7 or 8 grand in depreciation. And I bet you would have that same depreciation in a Dacia Sandero. You might as well spend more and get it at the end. You know what I mean? So I can never understand people buying cheap versions of something like the Peugeot Ion or the Citroen C0. I guess they didn't really have a choice then, electric-wise, but that's just me. Anyway, we've been going now for about an hour and 20 minutes, so I'll probably start to say bye-bye. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll I am going to do a regular thing about this the chats, the live streaming. I'm hoping to do live chat streaming with multiple people, by which I mean maybe someone else on YouTube. So there'll be you'll see two of us right now, me here and them there, and you'll be able to chat with them live. That's the ultimate plan. Maybe next, I don't know, I'm going on holiday next week in Scotland, so I'll probably do it every month on a scheduled basis. Maybe more often, because ultimately this is significantly easier for me to make than a normal video. I will say though that the normal videos, if you like, are going to carry on. I'm not going to do live ones instead of normal ones, because ultimately normal videos are what people prefer. No doubt this will get far less views than a typical video, because as I do, if someone sees a video that's an hour and a half long, they're not going to start watching it, or they're going to start watching a bit of it and then give up. So this is an addition to the normal videos I do. I'd rather do a live stream video than none at all. So that's where we're going with this. I'll work on the camera thing. We will have it soon. I think I'm getting the hang of this this live editing though. Look, here you go. There's my Twitter handle, EVManUK. So follow me on Twitter, say hello, that sort of stuff. No problems. I always say hello to people. Yeah, it's been fun. And if I press this, the chat goes away. And press this, it comes back. Yeah, look at me live editing. So yeah, thanks for all that. I think I'll probably say bye bye now, unless there are any final questions that you want to ask before I disappear. And I'll look forward to doing this again in I don't know, in a couple of weeks or something. We'll think of a topic. So yes, anything else before we disappear? I'll read this last question out. The battery heating during charging is just insane. That is why we ordered the 2018 Leaf. I calculated that it would cost me €1,000 for petrol back and forth. The charging is less than €150. Fuel is the cheapest part of an electric car. I bought an electric car purely to save myself money, and it does that. I am almost saving in fuel costs what the car costs me in a monthly basis. So yeah, the more miles you do in an electric car, the cheaper it is compared to a petrol one. Right, final question. How are you getting on with your Tide Energy? Well, I've been with them for... This is Green Energy UK's Tide tariff, the time of day tariff, for those that don't know. I've been with them for over a year now. Yeah, no problems. They have put the prices up for new customers. I don't think it goes up for me for another 6 months or so. Everyone's going up, of course, but because my car charges between 11 and well, it starts at 11 p.m, which is when the cheap electric rate starts. So I pay 5p per kilowatt hour to charge the car, and not far off half of my electric usage is the car. So I am a fair bit better off compared to other providers, especially Ecotricity. If I switch to Ecotricity, even with the rapid charging being cheaper, I'd be about £300 or £400 a year worse off. So yeah, it's been good. Anyway, I will probably stop the streaming now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in a couple of weeks, maybe 3. Who knows? I will hopefully have the new webcam by then, and we'll be in HD. I do want to do a kind of collaboration with other YouTubers, so watch this space. I will put the scheduled videos up as well, like I did with this one. So YouTube tells you that there's a live stream coming up at whatever time it will be, probably 3-4 o'clock on a Sunday, something like that. I think makes the most sense. Depends on who I'm talking to. So yes, right, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you.